used to work in a laboratory up top. Yeah, big shampoo job. I was dark grey when we started. Yeah. Still, it cleared up my dandruff.
Welcome to the Hawkeye Rising YouTube channel. I'm your host, Clint. Your Hawkeye. Figured we'd take a little cruise. The guy is walking between cars, almost out in front of me. Remember, head on a swivel. And a very special vehicle. I won't talk about it at the moment, but it's been an interesting experience. Inviting you into my home. It's a little cool today, lots of rain. Anyway, so before it gets dark, better turn the camera on. How y'all doing? All right, Sun Tzu's Art of War. When it was published, 1772, air quotes translated by Jesuit John Joseph Mary Amiot. Chapter 1, point number 18, warfare. What does it say? Is my audio clipping? Maybe. Yep. Have to fix that. All warfare. Remember, point number 18. All warfare is based on deception. Thank you, Shep, for your email. I think the cap has dealt with properly and appropriately with your comments. And like the cap, I advise it's not an issue to further press the issue is to only invite frustration and friction. And the point, we're not spreading dissension among the brethren by needlessly stirring a pot that does not need stirring. If you're not there firsthand, it's pointless. It's about it just is about opinion. Okay, I'm just gonna change audio. As I was saying, all warfare, as Sun Tzu puts it, point number 18, chapter 1, laying the plans. All warfare based on deception. Any approach, anything you see or read must be held through that lens, must be perceived through that lens. How we sift through copious amounts of information and our sources, those we can trust if you can. No, it's not. I know I'm a little dark. The sky's a little bright. We got some beautiful light going on just before the sun sets. West coast of Canada. The western skies are beautiful. Shout out to all to the team, my brothers. Of course, I miss you guys. Be with you soon. Okay, let's see. So Sun Tzu, deception, warfare. What else can we chat about? I'm working on I've got two short 40-ish minute videos coming up, exploring an old blog post of mine at the moment, Health Part 1 on the Hawkeye 134.blogspot.com, where I discuss a science article published 2007 of sharks. And I can't remember the parasites found in their guts. If it was roundworm specific, but the point was, how do sharks survive in toxic waters? The heavy metals measured in the waters they were. Fascinating article. So again, how do these creatures survive in such a toxic environment? So the shark's tissues were not toxic, but I don't want to get it wrong, the nematodes found in their guts were found to be highly toxic. So one can assume or deduce, or whether the premise behind these parasites were living symbiotically within these sharks, and by their presence enabled these sharks to live and survive and thrive even in highly toxic waters. Does that make sense? So which became the premise of my exploration into helminths, so roundworms, flatworms, and so on in human beings. Does it serve the same purpose? And of course, so it reaches a very sensitive topic. Are human beings not just parasitized, but highly parasitized? And is it even considered a parasitic relationship, or is it a symbiotic relationship? If their presence, their very presence is enabling us to survive in a very toxic environment. So, through health part 1, I know there's 2 parts, but health part 1, I begin to explore that, pose the question. Yes, it's a couple years ago. Relate to my experience into your Hawkeye, me, personally passing critters. Who am I? I'm just some dude with a fascinating backstory. That's for certain. As we all do. Look at us. Look at us. Where we all come from. At a fascinating intersecting points in our lives where we've all crossed paths. And so in part, here's what I bring in part to the table. Health. What the F is going on? So is it right? So when a so-called doctor does not address this, the likes of, let's say, Amanda Vollmer, fellow Canadian, I've not just spoken to her directly or indirectly, personally I should say, at this time, does this, even though she does address, on my channel I have a short clip of her addressing coffee, a guy who had, I think, a colon resection. So I think a portion of this man, after many years of stomach discomfort, I can't remember specifically all his symptoms, but he went on to have a portion of his intestine, I believe it was the large intestine, removed, and it did not alleviate these symptoms. And speaking with him, Amanda Vollmer prescribed coffee enemas and a soap enema, and as a result, this man passed a large amount of flukes.
Guy who came to me with, I don't know if I told the story, with the resection, the colon resection. And he had like 25 years of gut pain, like bloating, gut pain, always problems digesting, and that just cut out part of his bowel, didn't help, blah, 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 goes on with his life. And then I said, well, it sounds like you got parasites. Where have you been tested for parasites? And, well, I'm like, we'll do a couple coffee enemas. Here's some other enemas you can try, whatever, right? And after he does 2 coffee enemas and a soap enema, like just a pure soap, after the soap enema, the toilet is full of flukes, like full of.
Flukes are oh goodness, it's been a while since I believe it's a trematode under the helminth umbrella. Cestodes are tapeworms, nematodes are roundworms. So, yes, it should be shocking. Nonetheless, leads us to the question, what the heck is going on? And the foundation of some of my work, and the premise I operate with now, is that all human beings are highly, you say the word parasitized, but is it a result of it, the essential symbiotic relationship with these critters, whether they, again, appeared through pleomorphism, so cells becoming what the body needs, essentially, let's say that's my layman's terms of how I would define pleomorphism, or as a result of how we interact with our environment, 24/7, 365, referring to our Jesuit Gregorian calendar. Our environment, with our animals, with other people. Of course, I having to watch my language too. Want to be sensitive to, unfortunately, being the highly censored. Yeah, I might have to change the exposure. Anyway, not have this discussion is error. As I presented, it's an error. And so, can I? Does this affect how I view Amanda Vollmer, the light, and the like? Yes. So I use the word modality. The different ways a person can be restored to health. There are very expensive ways, purchasing machines, and yet at our very fingertips is there a possibility, if you are one like myself, my past, and well, even still, I'm not done yet, who has really struggled with illness, day-to-day chronic pain stuff, mobility issues, and then just again in my videos I get into a little bit. I had a pretty significant severe accident over 20 years ago, which changed the course of everything for me. Much is diatomaceous earth, food grade diatomaceous earth that a person can consume. How about this? As I get into a person being parasitized with roundworms or nematodes, what about the fact that this isn't just your Hawkeye? Look at this yourself. That a female nematode can produce up to 200,000 eggs per day, and will produce and lay 200,000 eggs per day. And your Hawkeye also gets into, well, again, another premise, another hypothesis that because of the toxicity of our livers, the human liver in our toxic environment, and with the symbiotic nature of these critters, does certain organs call out for assistance and help in detoxification, and thus calling forth, unfortunately, the what would I say? That's it. Like an oil filter and an engine that has never had an oil change. What happens? Well, the filter will clog up with debris, and the filter essentially becomes useless. And with whether the filter or with the engine having a bypass, or the fitting having the bypass valve, unfiltered oil gets pumped through essentially the entire oiling system in an engine, and eventually will cause an engine failure. And is the liver experiencing the exact same thing, crippled and unable to function as a filter for blood and lymph, and then of course, which it also has a myriad of other duties. But let's just keep it simple, because I'm a simple man. Blood and lymph being filtered by our livers, which are compromised, cannot do its job. And then of course this brings us to the coffee, the controversial coffee enema, the taboo subject of something up our ass for our own survival. To quote loosely quoted Steve McQueen as Henri Charrière Papillon in 1973, Franklin J. Schaffner's film Papillon, based on the book. Purpose of a coffee enema. So without ingesting fat or protein, by putting a certain roast, okay, of coffee in a solution up the exit. I know look at a long-standing joke at Resistance Rising. We believe in exit only. The rear is for exit only. It's not going back to dock and the cap. Which there's even a scene in actually 2019's Joker, where the Joker walks into a hospital sliding door that says above it, exit only. And there's a couple other hints in that film, which I believe the cap captured as a direct, subtle drumbeat to the captain and the team. So, what does a coffee enema do? A coffee enema causes the gallbladder to purge. Remember, what's a gallbladder? The gallbladder is a sac, an external storage sac for bile, which the liver produces. What does bile do? Well, bile, okay, this is not my forte, I'm not an expert. What does a bile do? Bile do? What does bile do? Okay, so it assists with the digestion of fats, but also assists in the elimination of the toxins that the liver essentially captures and filters, and thus the process of elimination. So through our digestion, when the liver, through the gallbladder, purges bile, there's amongst the large, all that bile does, so two main things: the digestion of fats, protein. Yes, we don't need to get into the pancreas at the moment, although that is important too. But also bile, the elimination of toxins, waste. Okay? So if a person can literally, if being so toxic, I've heard testimonies secondhand that they state that coffee enemas essentially saved their life. I've experienced coffee enemas myself. In my Hawkeye blog, Health Part 1, I share something that I actually passed during a coffee enema. Very, very shocking. Yes. Hurrah! And so remember, what's with the team? The definition of a healer, a person who heals. What can a person heal themselves? As I've called myself, I'm my own science experiment. Since nobody wants to listen to old Hawkeye, or even my family, it's about, okay, what's my own story? Can I testify through the many ways that I've tried to make myself better over the last few years? I'm not out of the woods yet, but I am far better than where I was and what it was like. don't apologize if I'm making any of you uncomfortable. At the same time, this is essential part of what I believe is going on, and also why two particular, do I call them drugs? Had a spotlight put on them, specifically over the last 3 years. One of them has a direct lineage to Jesuits bark. I don't want to give the fault. Be incorrect with the name, so I'll just leave it at that. It's Jesuits bark. And I do discuss in part discovering. Your Hawkeye, being a dumbass, never actually looking up Pfizer's origins. I'm gonna have to bump up the exposure. Sorry. Let's see what we can do. Let's see. Hey. Good to see you too. Good old audio. Clean audio, essential. I'm doing this, clean audio. So yes, these are fascinating times. We all must literally become students to our own health. Take responsibility for our own health. The swine part, you know, in some ways I want to apologize and even ask for forgiveness for not approaching this subject sooner. This is, as you can tell, this is uncomfortable subject matter. My own experience, nobody wants to hear it. As I share in a video that even with my own father, in part why I've done what I've done. A son motivated to save his father. And what did my father say? Just keep it to yourself. Laid my father to rest in the beginning of 2020. 2021. And of course, we've all lost loved ones, and yes, it should piss us off. Now I gotta piss. Well, thanks for being here. Thanks for checking this out. Thanks for not asking about coffee enemas. Remember, what does it do? without taking in protein or fat, it causes the gallbladder to purge its bowel reserve. So that is the point of a coffee enema. This guy's beautiful. One sec. Wow. Okay. Yeah, get to know you, Hawkeye. What else do I say? Any questions? How about any questions, comments? Hey, you know the deal. What's my email? My email is hawkeye134email@gmail.com. That's hawkeye134email, it's one word, @gmail.com. Thanks for coming along for the ride. Right. Until next time, remember, point number 18, laying the plans. Sun Tzu's Art of War. All warfare is based on deception. Come on, have discernment. Okay? All right.